Welcome back. Today our topic is: what would happen if World War III started? What are the war zones of World War III? But before that, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Think that world wars are a thing of the past? The evidence doesn't say so. The next world war is much closer than you think, and only one thing can prevent it. Mankind thinks things will just keep getting better and better. The opposite is true. It cannot keep getting better. It is impossible for that to happen in the physical world. It goes back and forth from good to bad and vice versa. It will get worse, and when it does, it will bring out the beast in mankind. You can just look at our bloody history to see what will happen. The stable times we are in will pass, because it is the nature of nature to change. As sure as the world will keep turning, something will happen, and our true nature will reveal itself. We have to make the transition before it does. We are living in a fool's paradise, in a castle made of sand, in a house of cards, and the wind is starting to blow. People think it will never happen to them, when it is certain to happen. People think that nothing really bad can happen to them, that it only happens to other people. This is one of the most powerful deceptions created by the mind. Natural disasters will happen to people that know the truth also, but they will not make the situation worse by turning into violent animals. It is the social upheaval that comes with major natural disasters that spiritual people will avoid. This upheaval often manifests as wars and social chaos that causes much more damage than the disaster itself. A light always burns the brightest before it burns out. Night follows day. You have to admit the human race has become a lot weirder, more lost, and a lot more dangerous. We need to face the fact that it can and will happen to us if we do not do something to stop it from happening. It is just a natural cycle. The most optimistic of times have always preceded this world's darkest days. Things before most disasters were just as they are now. People were asleep. Mankind has not changed. The only difference now is there are a lot more people, and we are more alienated, confused, vulnerable, and much more dangerous. We have been centralizing the necessities of life. The food, water and electricity, that everyone is now dependent on can be disrupted very easily, sending us right back to the laws of the jungle in just a few days. Albert Einstein said, "I do not know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." The most important and dangerous difference is we have nuclear weapons. One modern thermonuclear bomb can have more destructive power than all the conventional bombs used in all the previous wars. Albert Einstein said, "The unleashed power of the atom has changed everything, save our modes of thinking, and we thus drift toward unparalleled catastrophe." You just have to look at the content of our movies and music to see where mankind is really at. Violence is at an all-time high in movies and music. Before the last World War, we had Bing Crosby singing White Christmas. It was much less likely that the last two world wars would happen than a world war happening today. Little sparks start big fires. The next world war is shaping up to be a war between religions, and this will make it much worse than any preceding war. Instead of fighting, we need to see the truth in religions. Einstein said there are two infinite things: the universe and man's stupidity. The First World War started over one person shooting another person. One shot led to millions of shots being fired. It was the assassination of a member of a royal family. Everything happened over the honor of a royal family. It started the biggest bloodbath in history. That one shot set off a chain reaction that engulfed the whole world. The Second World War was just an extension of the first one. Hitler would not have gotten in power or did what he did if not for the First World War. It does not take much to set the world on fire. It will just take a little spark again, and our world will literally begin to explode. Nuclear explosions this time. The sparks are flying in the Middle East, and the world is like gunpowder right now. Things could not be more dangerous, and most people do not even know it, which makes it even more dangerous. It would be like all the wars of the past stacked on top of each other. We have been in a very peaceful, stable, and productive period since the end of World War II. It is the longest period of relative peace and prosperity that this many people have ever experienced. It is like winding a spring, so a balancing period is coming, and it could spring back all at once. If you look at our history, you will see that every few years, we have a major bloodbath. It is a cycle, and unless we change, the cycle will continue. If it is going to happen, it will start soon. The transformation of man could happen at the same time, but the odds are against it. We need to do it before it happens. We have to change if we want the world to change. It is a reflection of us. If the beast prevails, we know what will happen, because we know our bloody, savage history, but most people cannot imagine what the future will be like if we all begin to learn the ultimate truth. War zones of World War III. 5 places World War III could start in 2020. Iran, Israel. Iran and Israel are already waging low-intensity war across the Middle East. Iran supports anti-Israel proxies in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and elsewhere, while Israel feels comfortable in striking Iranian forces across the region. Israel has taken steps to quietly build a broad anti-Iran coalition at the diplomatic level, while Iran has invested deeply in cultivating ties with militias and other non-state actors. It is hardly difficult to imagine scenarios that might bring on a wider, more intense war. If Iran determines to re-embark on its nuclear program, or decides to discipline Saudi Arabia more thoroughly, Israel might feel the temptation to engage in border strikes, or in strikes directly against the Iranian homeland. Such a conflict could easily have wider implications, threatening global oil supplies and potentially tempting the United States or Russia to intervene. Turkey. Strains between Turkey and the United States have only grown over the past year. Tensions increased dramatically when the United States unexpectedly gave Turkey a green light to clear Syrian border areas of US-supported Kurds, then immediately issued an about-face and threatened Ankara with sanctions. All the while, an arsenal of US nuclear weapons, by all accounts, remains at Incirlik Air Force Base. Certain statements by President Erdogan suggested that he has immense aspirations for Turkey, aspirations which might include nuclear ambitions. Kashmir. Over the past decade, the gap in conventional power between India and Pakistan has only grown, even as Pakistan has tried to heal that gap with nuclear weapons. Despite of this, tensions between the rivals remained at a low simmer until steps taken by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to reduce the autonomy of Kashmir, and to change citizenship policies within the rest of India. These steps have caused some unrest within India, and have highlighted the long-standing tensions between Delhi and Islamabad. Korean Peninsula. A year ago, hope remained that negotiations between the United States and North Korea could succeed in permanently reducing tensions of the peninsula. Unfortunately, core problems in the domestic situations of both countries, along with a puzzling strategic conundrum, have prevented any agreement from taking hold. Tensions between the two countries now stand as high as at any time since 2017, and the impending US election could imperil relations further. South China Sea. US-China relations stand at a precarious point. A trade deal between the two countries would seem to alleviate some tensions, but implementation remains in question. Economic difficulties in China have curtailed some of its naval construction program, just as a flattening of the defense budget in the United States has moderated shipbuilding ambitions. At the same time, China has worked assiduously to assure its relations with Russia, while the United States has sparked controversies with both South Korea and Japan, its two closest allies in the region. Thanks for watching, goodbye.